Today Richard's going to show you how to pebble pave your concrete floors, but before he does that, I'm going to show you two different ways to prep your concrete floors. The first way I'm going to show you is with muriatic acid. You can get muriatic acid at your local home supply store. There are a couple things you need to know about it. One, you need to use the proper safety gear. It comes with instructions on the bottle. Our specific muriatic acid says it's 25 parts of water to 1 part of muriatic acid. And we're going to clean this small concrete block, so we only need a small amount. The two main reasons you would want to use muriatic acid to clean your concrete floors before applying an epoxy coating is oil stains or stains of any type, or to etch the surface for a better abrasion when you apply the coating. The first thing I'm going to do is get my safety gear. These are acid resistant gloves, safety goggles. This is a regular surgical mask. Get them anywhere. This is a respirator that you can use to help with the fumes. Today, since we're using such a small amount of muriatic acid, I'm going to go ahead and use the surgical mask. You, of course, want to follow the instructions on the back of your bottle. The first thing I'm going to do is put on my mask and my glasses, and then I'm going to put my gloves on. We pre-mixed a little bit of muriatic acid with water. Our muriatic acid said to do 25 parts water to 1 part of acid. You're going to go ahead and pour it really close so that it doesn't splash. You're going to let it sit for about 30 seconds till it starts to bubble. We're going to start scrubbing with our acid resistant wire brush after it starts to foam. The muriatic acid and this wire brush should take most stains like oil right off. When you're done scrubbing the stain, you're going to go ahead and take plain water to rinse the muriatic acid away. Once again, you're going to do it very low to the concrete so it doesn't splash, and you're basically going to rinse it away until the bubbles are gone. After your concrete is clean and dry, you can go ahead and apply your epoxy coating. As you can see, our stain is gone. I'm now going to tell you about a second way that you can clean your concrete before applying epoxy. This way involves using your safety gear, your respirator, and your safety goggles, an industrial sander, and anywhere between 60 and 600 grit sandpaper. The way that you would determine what to use on your concrete is if it's a smoother surface that isn't very dirty, possibly a newer concrete, you can use a smoother, higher grit like a 600. If it's really dirty and you think needs a lot of etching, you would use a much rougher grit like a 60. After you're done sanding your floor with your industrial sander, you're going to go ahead and take your vacuum. You're going to vacuum up all the dust. After that's done, you're ready to apply your AeroMarine 321 epoxy.
Today we're discussing one of the most popular uses of AeroMarine 321 epoxy. That is applying pebble paving to concrete or pool decks or patios, driveways. This is a two-step process. The first step will be to apply a prime coat to the concrete. The prime coat is a very simple mix of 321 spread at about 200 square feet per gallon. Got AeroMarine 300 here, AeroMarine 21 here. The ratio is 2 to 1. I'm going to start with the 300. We're using 1 ounce graduated pumps in the 300 and the 21, so that gives us 1 ounce per each pump. So we're going to take 2 pumps of the 300 to 1 pump of the 21. I'm going to double the mix. We now have 4 ounces of the epoxy resin, 2 ounces of the hardener for a 2 to 1 ratio. You can pour either into the other. Doesn't matter because we're going to use a second container. In your first container, scrape the sides of the container. Scrape the bottom of the container. Continue repeating this process while you're mixing the epoxy. Transfer this mix into a clean mixing container without transferring the last few drops. Don't care about that. You don't want it in the mix. Using a clean container and a clean mixing stick, mix the epoxy again. Okay, we're satisfied that this is thoroughly mixed epoxy. We're going to apply the prime coat to the concrete. You can see that we're a little rich in the epoxy coating here. This is a demo, so it doesn't really matter. But when you're doing this, you want to ensure that you are getting 200 square feet per gallon in each coat of epoxy. And we're done. So the next step is allow this to cure overnight. You will notice that it gets tacky in about 4 to 6 hours, but by tomorrow it will be fully cured. In the meantime, this evening, make sure that your sprinklers don't turn on, make sure that there's no rain. You do not want water to get on this for the first 24 hours after it is applied. Okay, we've estimated that we need about 48 ounces of pebbles to apply a simple coating to the top of this demo piece here today. On our website, however, we have charts on coverage for both pebbles and for the epoxy. The estimates are approximations, but they give you a good guide for approximately how much you're going to need. One thing when you buy pebbles is you want to buy more than you need and keep them, store them somewhere, because several years from now you're going to want to patch that epoxy. You'll never be able to match the pebbles. This next part is relatively simple. We mix the AeroMarine 321 epoxy with the pebbles, create a type of a stucco mixture, and then spread it out, trowel it out on top of the concrete. I'm going to now mix the epoxy. When you're mixing this for your project, you only need enough epoxy, mixed epoxy, to wet the surface of the rocks. As I mentioned previously, I'm scraping the sides of the first container and scraping the bottom of the container while I'm mixing the resin. I'm now going to transfer that first mix to a clean container. Again, I don't care about the last few drops. Clean container, clean mixing stick. Mix again. I'm now going to transfer the mixed epoxy into container with the pebbles. And you'll notice that at first it looks dry, but what you'll see as you continue mixing is that the epoxy will coat far more than you initially think. We can see a shiny gloss on the pebbles. We can see that they're all wet. They all have a coating of the epoxy on them. Okay, we're going to take our epoxy and pebble mixture. So we've transferred our pebble mix to the concrete. Moves very easily, very easy to trowel. This coating is much thicker than you need. You only need a coating of 1 or 2 pebbles, enough so that you don't see the substrate underneath. The principal thing that you want to pay attention to when you're doing this is to watch the consistency of the final coat, to make sure that there are no pebbles sporadically placed around that would be uncomfortable if you accidentally stepped on it. And that's it. We let it cure overnight. As I mentioned earlier, we ensure that there are no sprinklers on it, there's no water that comes in contact with it. It'll leave white cloudy spots on it if that occurs. And tomorrow we can walk on it. 48 hours from now, we can drive on it. If you have any questions about it, you can find more detailed information on it on our website at AeroMarineProducts.com.